not podcast, but uh, episode of Open Research here, and I'm going to jump right into it. So here's a refreshment, as y'all can see, my mathematical discovery, which is my background for my phone as well as on the screen. Well, that mathematical discovery, as you can see by the name of the title, has to deal with the HUNAB coup. So I'll get right into it and not leave you all waiting at all. The fact is, there is something called the HUNAB coup. The HUNAB coup is a Mayan term and symbol representing a creator deity and the concept of the one God or one being. It's a symbol of harmony, balance, and the principle of life itself, often depicted in a spiraling design similar to the yin yang. In some contexts, Hunapku is also associated with the core of the galaxy, Sagittarius A, I mean to say, and the duality of forces within the galaxy. So the fact is, when you look at the Hunapku right here, you can see that looks just like my discovery. It's the same exact step count and everything. At the numbers 2, where you see an X emitting from my work from the center, you can follow those lines and on the Hunapku, and they line up with the 2 and 7. So you got the 2 and 7, which are right there, shining out like lights. And if you think about the Great Pyramid shaft, that's what I'm talking about, the geometry like that. That's how that's doing it. So you got the Great Pyramid. As you can see, the Hunab Ku looks very similar to that, how the shafts emit. One of the shafts actually emits at a 45-degree angle. So the fact is, I'm showing you this because of the fact that the Hunab Ku, as they just told you what it was, this symbol does not represent the Hunab Ku. That's really my purpose in making this video. In the past, people have told you what the Hunab Ku is. They've let you know that the Hunab Ku is something that is ancient, Mayan, and things like that, but it's actually not ancient. The Hunab Ku is actually the closest modern depiction, and that is my purpose in actually making this video here today. It is the most recent, if it's not a discovery, but a depiction that looks the closest like my work. If we're going to talk about anything all over the earth, the Chakana is not the most recent. It's the Hunab Ku. Now, the Hunab Ku, though it is not, as I'm showing right now, it is not of Mayan descent. In fact, it is actually, as they're showing you and telling you, it does not represent Omioto or Hunab Ku, this symbol right here. But the symbol is 100% indigenous and represents the 5 directions and complementary duality. So, as I go on to my drive, you'll see this right here. This post here says, Este no es un hieroglifo Maya. So that says right there, this is not a geoglyph, a Mayan geoglyph. That's what that translates to. It says the geoglyph or el glifo de Hunapku, or the glyph of Hunapku, is invented. Es un invento moderno de Jose Arguelles. And that means it is an invention, a modern invention of Jose Arguelles. So over here it says Destales del Códice Magalia Becano del Centro de México. Se refiere a diseños textiles de mantas. So it's letting you know right there that it refers to textiles, and it is 1,600. That's when it came out, in 1,600. Um, so that's very recent, and that's why I just told you. In order for me to show you all that I actually made a discovery, I have to show you that the most recent actual depiction of what it is that I've discovered is this right here, called the HUNAB coup. That's what they call it, but it is not of Mayan descent. That's what I'm showing you too. It's not ancient, but what is ancient is more so what I just showed you as far as the Oyante Tambo, because that right there, the Oyante Tambo Sun Temple geoglyph that's carved there. Because this right here is something hand drawn, and it also came out in the 1600s. So the fact is, one has to comprehend that this actually came that you will not find a stone everything set in stone is very much important, but you will not find a set in stone carving of the Hunab Ku. What you find instead is this right here, which is found in Oyante Tambo. And if you count it, you look at it like I've been showing y'all consistently, because this is in fact a new discovery of my own. Once I looked at this down here, this right angle area, and the punctures that they have there to communicate the 5 and 4, that's where I knew that I had actually made another discovery with my work right here. They're both the exact same thing. Right here in this area at the bottom of where you see those jagged edges, you see this right here. Now the thing is, when you look at the Hunab Ku, the metrics are not perfect as well too. You see how they're not perfectly like mine when they draw these depictions? The 3 and 6 that's been seen on my work, they're not equal right here. Very important. So metrics itself matters. That's what was going on with Angkor Wat as well too. They changed it. As a matter of fact, for all of these different temples, they changed the metrics in order to communicate different things. Borobudur is not an exception. That's actually something I was trying to explain in my previous videos, but I got a little off track. But Borobudur also is another place, another temple that actually ties all the way into that of what I'm showing you, my mathematical discovery. I'm not trying to be boring or anything, but I'm just being attentive to how I've been coming off in my videos and everything too. I don't know why people don't get it or don't show that they don't get it. I know one thing's for sure is that they don't argue with it. Drop any comments to disprove anything that I'm saying. But I'll continue with the facts, which is what matters the most and people are here for, if anything. So the facts are, when I've been showing y'all something called the Nazca Estrella, that's very important, because the Nazca Estrella, excuse me, surprise, oh, okay. The Nazca Estrella found right here, as you can see, I've showed y'all some very important stuff, but I mentioned Borobudur for a reason. Now, not only does it have to deal with Borobudur, but it has to also deal with the Dome of the Rock. So you got the Nazca Estrella. The Nazca Estrella and the Dome of the Rock is something that I have actually shown in the past, but I'm doing this for a reason, because like I told you, I just mentioned the Nazca Estrella and its importance. So you see that when you take the Nazca Estrella and put it directly over the Dome of the Rock, you have intricate measurements that come out nearly, or actually exactly precise to what you see there at Nazca. Pretty obvious. The rings that are there, the circle that's there, pretty obvious and perfectly concise. Beyond that, what's my next point? That's Nazca and the Dome of the Rock. The Nazca Estrella now. How is it that the Nazca Estrella is being shown with one monument to have to deal with that? And I've shown you Angkor Wat as well. You can say what you want to about that, but then I can show you this. So you have this right here as far as the Nazca straight. How beautiful. See this right here? That's literally my discovery as you look at it, and what they're showing you is literally is you, but you don't see the mathematics. You don't see my discovery there. It's 5 count, but that's borobutyr. I've tried to show people that. So if you can't understand when you look at borobutyr that you do see the same thing going on there, there's 0, then there's 1, and then there's 2, which is where the square is made at on my work. They just stretch the metrics like I told y'all, just like you just saw at Oyante Tombo. I can't lie about anything. And so the fact is that it'd be 4. This last step right here would be 4. So you have exactly the same. Now beyond that, you in another video where I was showing, you actually have the metrics actually. Uh, Nazcalin's mandala. This will help you more better actually. Hold on. I think this might be the article. I am taking a chance by actually. Dang, I ain't seen that one. I gotta go back to that. This is not the correct article. Hmm. I have to type in Pinterest. I'm sorry, this is taking a while. This is actually it right here. I should have took the chance, but they have it actually, if I'm correct, in a link that's below this. They were supposed to if it was the right one, but it seems to not be the right one. As soon as I can find it, I'll be showing and proving exactly what I'm saying. That's not it either. This might be it. I think it is. It's not it either. Goodness. Well, I'm not going to look up and find it, but they actually had already showed where the Nazca Sun Star is in links with borobutyr as far as the Buddhist mandala. I think this is the same one. Yeah. Goodness. Well, I'm not going to be able to find that one. But I know for now, these are other decryptions. Now, I know another thing is for people to think that, or say, how do you know you've discovered it as well? They probably question among themselves, what about other people's work that they've done as far as decryptions? Well, that was the first road that I had to go down to know that I actually discovered something, because I looked at other people's work, and that's where I knew that they were wrong, because I used deductive reason and common sense. This is something called a magic square. And that's why you see down here it confirms and says magic square of Mercury, which is an 8 by 8 square. And the fact is, when it comes to the magic square, when you take these numbers, which are the Nazca Sun Star is obviously built based on a grid. Inside of the Nazca Sun Star, you see intricate geometries which highlight and actually put markers within these squares on this grid, which means that they have specified points or meanings, points of attention, which cannot be just one number, such as or 45 and 45, like you see here. I mean, 44 and 45, 38, all of these different numbers. You see the same symbol in different spots. How can you tell me that they're different numbers? Why would there be rocks and X's in one, if all of them are numbered? Why would there be these numbers within these boxes? What significance do they really have at that point? So at that point, it's very important to understand that, yeah, the most recent depiction of the discovery I've made is that of the HUNAB. There is nothing else as far as a 5-step Chicana. You can, like I showed y'all, the solar and lunar Chicana. When I showed y'all this, there's a differentiation in step counts, and that's what makes them different. Like the letter E and the letter F having a certain number of bars. So you got 3 bars on the solar and 4, or not bars, but steps on the lunar. And the fact is, you have 5 on mine. Now, what I'm letting you know is they don't have a Chicana 5-stepped one labeled or known as. Shout out to my brother Brandon. They don't have a 5-step Chicana labeled or known as any name in particular, whether in India, where you see this predominantly seen and actually first questionably discovered, or in Mayan territory, Peruvian territory. So the fact is, there's no name for the 5-step one besides the other depiction, like I just showed you, known as the HUNAB. So that came out in the 1600s. So me on my path and where I'm at right now, this was a very important video for me because even at this point, I'm realizing that I have to actually do research on Jose Aguiles, who is the person who actually discovered or created, you can't really say discovered, but created the HUNAB. Now, what he looked at as far as creating it, I've got the grandest idea, but I need to look back on the research of it to find out where it actually came from. If there's a book out here on the HUNAB itself, I'm pretty sure to help me in what I'm teaching world as far as knowing. Now, they did teach you north, east, south, and west, and then the center as well was spoke of, but that's also what I'm showing y'all too. So what you're looking at here is a north-south, the direct side view. The 0 and 9 is the equator, east to west around the globe, but the 4 and 5 are the north and south pole, or the northern lights and southern lights. That's what you see in reality. When you look at everything here in this world, you see not a flat aspect to it, but a globular aspect, a circular aspect to it. When you look at cells, they're not flat. That's when you think that they're flat because you look at them under a microscope and you know that they're flat at the bottom. That's because they're resting on something flat. You gotta be smart. So that's why they're flat at the bottom. But if they were not resting on something flat, they're like globs of water, like the ones that we see drop from the sky. That's what cells are like. But they're not subject to just downfall. They're subject to free movement, like we are with the directions we move by. As far as showing y'all what I'm showing y'all too, there is a grid to reality. That's what this whole center line down the middle of you and everything living here, the line of symmetry that I'm showing y'all, has to deal with. So you can't see this grid that's around us, But the fact is, everything is built on a grid. When you take a line down the middle of something and then draw a line directly across, like your eyes, even, you can't make a square with every person, but look at a person's line, their body. Everything's lined up as if it's on a grid. You got a horizontal line going this way, and then you got a line going this way. It does make a grid. A dog, if you sat them right next to you, they got a line going that way downward, and then they got everything lined up sideways. So there's a grid of symmetry that the creator chose not to just make everything like we could have had. Why didn't the creator make it to where eyes could be at a 45-degree angle, where one eye is up this way and the other one is set this way? That's because there is, in fact, like I'm telling you and showing you, an overlooked grid system to creation in itself. And that has to deal with the numbers that you see right here. So I just want to make this quick video for y'all. Like I said, I enjoy doing this, and I hope that y'all enjoy learning the stuff that y'all are taught that you will not hear from anybody else, because I don't learn this from anybody else. I can't learn it from anybody else. The HUNAB coup is the most recent, the closest I could have got if I ever could have found anything near it, besides what goes way back, which is the Indians architecture. So thank y'all for coming through, and be sure to hit the like button if you come back. I'll make for sure that I don't leave the video private, as this YouTube thing usually does private the video. All right. That's not me who privates the video. So as soon as it's done, I will make for sure that I go to the edit video option and hit public.